Neo Japan was first introduced in Inazuma 11-3, and they were a team composed of players who didn't quite make it to Inazuma Japan, who were trying to compete with Inazuma Japan to decide who should be Japan's national team. The concept was then reintroduced in Inazuma 11 Go Galaxy, this time as Resistance Japan, and they were kind of made to train Inazuma Japan and make them better. But this concept was never used in Inazuma 11 Orion. So today I want to take a look and try and figure out what that Neo Japan could have looked like. What Ares players could have been on it, what could the storyline have been. Well, let's discuss that in today's video. Well, let's start off with the manager. Now, the first person who comes to mind, even though I know he has something to do with Inazuma Japan and Orion, is Coach Travis. I think Coach Travis would make a really cool Neo Japan coach. Another idea would be Ray Dark. I don't quite know how that could work. Maybe, I guess, if Ray Dark's escaped from prison or whatever he did, I don't know, he's just kind of vibing in the world now, then maybe Ray Dark decides he's going to create his own Inazuma Japan with blackjack and hookahs, and he just decides to set up this Neo Japan. There's obviously the angle that it is Coach Lena, and she just makes her own Inazuma Japan again. And then I guess you could also look at like Hillman doing it. There's a ton of different angles here, but obviously the big question is, why do Neo Japan exist? Well, in this version, I'm going to use a storyline submitted by a viewer in a previous video, which basically sees Maxime from Inakuni Raimon leading the charge. Maxime obviously being the captain of Inakuni Raimon, he basically goes, dang, I haven't been selected, I never felt like I was good enough, I kind of failed a bit and didn't get a play in the final of the Football Frontier, I want to prove myself. So he decides to create this Neo Japan, he decides to go to whatever manager and lead and create a Neo Japan with the idea of this team being better than the Japanese national team, taking them on and taking over. Yeah, a cheeky bit of a villain arc for Maxime, because of course, the man screams supervillain. But now is the really fun part, the part I know you've all been looking forward to, and that's going through who the actual players of this team are going to be. So starting off in goal, it's got to be Joe King. He's one of the few returning members. I mean, he just kind of suits it. He's one of the biggest important goalkeepers in Inazuma 11 who wasn't selected for Orion in Inazuma Japan. He has high Beast Fang. It just makes a ton of sense. For our main defenders, we have Hadrian Diesel, Bud Bloom, Malcolm Knight, and Joaquin Downtown. Now these are from Zeus, Luna Prime, Kirkwood, and Alpine respectively, and the reason I selected these, well, just going through them one by one. Hadrian Diesel is just a really cool character. He's kind of he's one of the two new Zeus characters, and I would love to see some Zeus representation in this team, obviously. I think there's so much potential with him for cool moves that we haven't seen. Like, I'd love to see a proper, because obviously he's based on Hades, a proper underworld theme move where he like summons the dead or whatever, or like skulls that surround the opponent. You know, there's so many potential for cool moves. He has to be on this team. Then we've got Bud Bloom. Bud Bloom is basically just here because he looks cool and he's a Luna Prime player, and we need some Luna Prime representation. Malcolm Knight, because I mean, come on, he is, you know, basically a big supporting character. He was on Dark Emperors. I was always shocked he was never on Neo Japan. I wonder if he was meant to be included in Unicorn at all, but in this case we're just going to slap him on Neo Japan. We don't know any better. Maybe he is American, maybe he's not. Who cares? And then Joaquin Downtown, one, because female representation is tight, and two, also, she's from Alpine, and I like to mix up what teams we're selecting from. Moving into the midfield, we have three main midfielders. Obviously, Maxime returns, Oscar Pio from Polestar, and Sebastian Fortright from Rampart. Sebastian Fortright is our only Rampart representation. Team's a bit dull, it's mostly just defenders with the wall. Probably could have slapped one in defense, but who really cares? But Sebastian Fortright is cool. He's a midfielder. He's their captain. He's a big man with obviously big wall-based moves. He's got to be on the team. He'd look awesome. Oscar Pio is also cool from Polestar. I just kind of like him, and I think Polestar has some really cool characters who are obviously developed a bit in the anime. Makes sense for them to be on Neo Japan. And then obviously we kind of talk about Maxime. He'd be the captain of this team. He'd be the one leading them. His whole thing, the whole match would be about Maxime wanting to prove himself as the ultimate captain, especially against Mark Evans. He'd be wanting to really prove he can do it, and he prove he can be a fantastic captain. Maybe he teaches victory line to some of the forwards. We'll see. But I'm sure he comes up with some really interesting ideas for this match. And moving up front, our main three strikers, we have Percy Hurst from Zeus, the Perseus guy. We have Eddie Orion from Polestar, I'm pretty sure he's the one with Spectral Magna. And then we have David Samford from Royal. Obviously, Samford is not in Inazuma Japan in this version. He was in Inazuma Japan originally in the Inazuma 11-3, but not in Orion. So to me, it makes sense to bring him back to Neo Japan and have him be the guy leading the line, the ultimate ace striker, scoring all the Emperor Penguin goals. Maybe he can have his own version of Emperor Penguin #1. I guess in Ares it could be called Emperor Penguin High #1. Something stupid like that. And maybe David and Hyzaki have a massive moment where they just kind of kick the ball with each other. You know, like Neil and Axel did it in Inazuma 11-1? Maybe they have a moment like that, like a super cool penguin moment. Percy Hurst is here because, again, the Zeus representation's awesome, and he's just a cool new character who we definitely can get more from. And Eddie Orion, because he got a bit of development in this the Polestar Kirkwood match anyway. He has Spectral Magna, which is really cool. I'd love to see him use that move in this match. Who knows, maybe he teaches it to Samford, and Samford uses Spectral Magna. And when we were talking about victory line earlier, maybe that's Maxime, Percy, and David. Then just quickly covering the bench, we have Mickey Way from Polestar, Burley Carpenter from Everytown, Raven Hale from Luna Prime, Daniel Hatch from Royal, and Bunny Coptontail from Alpine. Bunny, I see, is like the last-ditch sub who comes on maybe in place of Eddie and just absolutely rains chaos on the pitch like in the Alpine match. Some other possible ideas for players would be some of the Raimon members who weren't included in Inazuma Japan, like Jack Wallside, Kevin Dragonfly, those kinds of players. Also like Marvin Murdoch, and also some Inokuni Raimon players who didn't quite make the cut. For instance, the Hat guy, the Ninja guy. I really remember these people's names. But yeah, what do you guys think? What do you think of Neo Japan in Inazuma 11 Orion? What would you like to have seen? Who would you like to have seen? Let me know down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Bye.